You think discipline is about waking up early or working harder, but real discipline begins in your tongue. Every word you say either builds trust or tears it apart. Every conversation reveals the level of control you have over your emotions, your ego, and your presence. Have you ever felt someone's warmth fade after talking to you? That sudden distance, that invisible wall. It's not always about what you said. It's about how you showed up, how you listened, how you reacted, how you made them feel. Most people destroy connection not with anger, but with small, unnoticed habits: impatience, interruption, judgment. These tiny cracks reveal a restless, unfocused mind. The Stoics believe that speech is a mirror of the soul. A man who cannot control his tongue cannot control his life. So today, you'll learn 5 mental disciplines, not soft social tips, but inner rules that sharpen presence, silence ego, and turn every conversation into a training ground for self-mastery. Are you ready to face the truth of how you speak? Most people listen to reply, not to understand. The moment another person starts speaking, your ego wakes up, eager to add your story, your insight, your example. You cut them off mid-thought, thinking you're relating, but what you're really doing is stealing their moment. In that instant, the message you send is clear. My voice is louder than yours. And when people feel unheard, they retreat. You lose their respect, their trust, and their desire to share. The Stoics called this the slavery of self-importance. Marcus Aurelius warned, "Be content to see clearly, not to be heard loudly." When you interrupt, you are not leading the conversation. You are revealing your lack of control. The disciplined mind waits. The strong listener studies every tone, every silence, every hesitation, because true power isn't found in speaking, it's in restraint. When you learn to let others finish, you aren't being passive. You are mastering your own impatience. You hear someone share a problem, and instantly, your brain goes to work. Solutions, strategies, advice. You mean well, but your help becomes another form of control. You rush to fix what wasn't yours to fix. And beneath that impulse hides pride, the belief that you know better. Stoicism teaches restraint of judgment, the wisdom to let others find their own answers. Seneca once said, "Do not cure what is not a wound." When someone confides in you, they don't always seek solutions. Sometimes they just want space to feel human without being dissected. So when a friend says, "I'm exhausted," don't rush in with hacks, routines, or motivation. Ask instead, "Do you want me to just listen?" This one question separates the wise from the restless. True strength is not in fixing everything. It's in mastering the urge to prove your intelligence. The Stoic doesn't rush to advise. He observes, listens, and respects the silence that heals more than words ever could. Your mind loves to catch inconsistencies. Someone says they're eating healthy, and you see them grab a burger. Your instinct fires. Didn't you say you were dieting? You call it honesty, but in truth, it's pride disguised as precision. The Stoics called this moral vanity, the urge to highlight others' flaws to feel righteous. Epictetus warned, "Do not be eager to set others right. You have not yet set yourself right." When you correct people's contradictions, you wound their dignity. You show them that being around you isn't safe. Every slip will be examined. But real strength doesn't need to expose weakness. It accepts imperfection without losing respect. The disciplined man sees another's inconsistency and says nothing, because he understands. People are not fixed, they're in progress. So next time your tongue rises to correct, ask, is this truth necessary, or is it just my ego seeking applause? A Stoic builds peace, not proof. Someone shares a small win. They ran their first mile, finished a project, faced a fear, and you shrug it off. That's nothing. Anyone could do that. You think you're being modest, but you've just erased their courage. In that moment, you reveal your own insecurity, your inability to celebrate another's light without comparing it to your own. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, see each soul as fighting a private battle. What looks small to you might be monumental to them. A Stoic knows that lifting others is an act of self-command, because envy and dismissal are just emotional laziness. When someone shares their progress, respond with presence, that's impressive. I can see how much effort that took. You're not flattering them, you're honoring effort, not outcome. Every time you choose appreciation over minimization, you build quiet strength. The weak compete for attention. The disciplined recognize value wherever it appears. You correct people on small details, the day something happened. the name of a song. A tiny misquote. You call it accuracy. But it's really control. You want the world to move in straight lines, under your supervision, yet every correction chips away at connection. The Stoics warned, obsession with being right is just fear wearing armor. Seneca said, a calm mind does not need to triumph in every argument. When you constantly correct others, what they feel isn't admiration, it's pressure. You turn simple dialogue into a silent test they must pass. The disciplined communicator knows when precision matters and when it doesn't. If the detail changes meaning, correct it gently. If it doesn't, let it slide. In that moment, you prove mastery over the ego's hunger for dominance. The Stoic doesn't chase perfection in others. He practices grace in himself. Remember, silence can be the loudest proof of strength. Most people don't listen. They wait. They wait for a pause, a breath, a space to jump in, but a Stoic listens differently. He doesn't listen with his reply. He listens with his presence. When someone speaks, he empties his mind of noise, no judgment, no preparing clever comebacks. He listens as if each word were a test of focus. Because true listening isn't passive. It's a form of discipline. It trains patience, attention, and control, the same virtues that build greatness in every other part of life. Marcus Aurelius practiced what he called active silence, listening not only with ears, but with composure. The weak man fidgets when he listens. The strong one becomes still. When you hold that calm space, people sense it. They open up, they trust, and in that moment, you become rare, not because of what you say, but because of what you refuse to interrupt. Most conversations collapse not because of disagreement, but because of emotion. Someone says something sharp, and your pride flares up. You defend, correct, or retaliate instantly. But Stoicism trains you to delay the fire. Epictetus taught, if someone provokes you, know that it is your judgment and not their words that has disturbed you. The disciplined man doesn't react on impulse. He observes his irritation rise like a storm and lets it pass. You may feel the urge to respond, to win, to correct, but when you master the gap between trigger and response, you take your power back. Every moment of irritation is an opportunity to train calmness. When you choose patience over reaction, silence over impulse, you show that your emotions serve you, not the other way around. Remember this. He who can stay composed while others lose control doesn't just win the argument, he wins himself. Before a single word leaves your mouth, people already feel your presence, your tone, your posture, your eyes. They announce your inner state. If your energy is restless, defensive, or self-centered, no amount of charm will hide it. The Stoics believe that your spirit radiates before your speech does. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If your thoughts are anxious or prideful, that color seeps into your voice. So before you speak, ask yourself, what energy am I carrying into this room? Calm strength or hidden chaos? Train yourself to enter conversations like a warrior entering sacred ground, composed, aware, respectful. Breathe before you answer. Look people in the eye. Not to dominate, but to connect. Your calm becomes contagious. People trust those who make them feel safe, not impressed. That is the quiet power of disciplined energy. It commands without force and influences without noise. Your words are tools, not weapons. Yet most people swing them carelessly. Sharp sarcasm, impatient tone, defensive jabs disguised as honesty. You might think you're just being direct, but what you're really doing is bleeding your own frustration onto others. The Stoics viewed speech as moral action. Every word either elevates your character or exposes your weakness. Marcus Aurelius warned, "Let your words be the reflection of a calm soul." A man who speaks harshly is simply showing how little control he has over himself. Strength doesn't need volume or venom. It needs clarity. Before you speak, ask, does this word serve truth or just my emotion? Does it build peace or feed ego? When you begin filtering speech through discipline, you'll notice something profound. Conversations stop draining you because your words stop betraying you. Your tongue becomes your ally, not your enemy. Every sentence becomes proof of your self-mastery. Most people talk to be liked. They fill silence with noise, inflate stories, chase laughter, validation, or admiration, all to avoid the fear of being unnoticed. But the Stoic warrior has no such hunger. He understands that trying to impress is a form of servitude, dependence on other people's approval. Epictetus wrote, "If you wish to improve, Be content to be thought foolish. When you speak, let sincerity replace showmanship. Speak less about yourself and more about ideas. Let your calm presence do the talking. You don't have to prove wisdom, just embody it. The man who always seeks to sound smart rarely is. The one who speaks with calm conviction commands attention without asking for it. True discipline is walking into a room needing nothing from anyone. Not laughter, not praise, not validation. You are enough. And that quiet confidence is what people actually remember. Most people fear silence. The second a pause appears, they rush to fill it. But silence is not emptiness, it's power. It's the moment when presence deepens and meaning settles. The Stoics knew that restraint in speech sharpens influence. Seneca said, "Speech is silver, but silence is a fortress." When you leave deliberate space between your words, you show mastery of thought, timing, and tension. You don't speak to fill the air, you speak to shape it. Every pause you hold creates gravity. People listen more closely because you're not wasting sound. Practice this. Before answering, breathe. Let the silence stretch one heartbeat longer than feels comfortable. That pause is your training ground. It disciplines your impatience. It tests your composure. And it reminds your ego that control is not in constant motion. It's in stillness. The man who controls silence controls the room. Every word you speak reflects what dominates your inner world. Angry tone. It reveals a restless spirit. Defensive replies. A fragile ego. Constant correction. A lack of trust in yourself. The Stoics practiced what they called prosoche, constant self-observation. They studied not what others said, but how they themselves responded. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, the fault is not in what is said, but in what we allow it to stir within us. When you talk, then notice your tone, your speed, your posture. Are you speaking from peace or from tension? This awareness turns every dialogue into discipline. The undisciplined man argues to win. The Stoic speaks to understand. He uses conversation as a mirror to sharpen composure, to expose hidden pride, to practice humility in real time. Because every interaction is feedback, a reflection of how far you've come and how far you still have to go. Every undisciplined word weakens your presence. You text without thinking, argue without awareness, and talk to fill your own discomfort. But the Stoic practices verbal minimalism. Every word is chosen, deliberate, grounded. Seneca warned, "Nothing reveals the quality of a man's mind more than how he speaks when unguarded." When you open your mouth, speak only when it adds value, not when it satisfies emotion. You don't need to speak first. You don't need to have the last word. You need to speak right, with purpose and precision. Imagine if every sentence you spoke had to represent your character to the world. Would you still say it? The disciplined communicator treats words like currency, spent only when necessary, invested only in what matters. Speak to calm storms, not to create them, because the man who controls his speech controls his destiny. Words, once spoken, and never return, so make them count. In the end, your conversations are not about others. They are about you. Every word, every reaction, every silence reveals your level of discipline. Weak communication is the echo of a weak mind. The Stoic's goal is not to sound wise, but to be still inside. Calm, firm, deliberate. Don't interrupt. Don't rush to fix. Don't judge. Don't minimize. Don't need to be right. Speak less. Listen deeply. And let your composure speak for you. Marcus Aurelius said, "Let your words reflect the steadiness of your soul." When people leave your presence feeling understood, not outshined, you have mastered something rare. Command without arrogance. Respect without demand. This is the essence of Stoic communication. Presence over noise. Clarity over chaos. Restraint over reaction. In a world addicted to talking, your silence will feel like strength. In a world chasing attention, your calm will feel like leadership. Master your tongue. And you master yourself before you leave. Remember this. Control over your words is control over your life. Every time you choose silence over impulse, patience over pride, understanding over interruption, you grow stronger, quieter, and clearer inside. The Stoics didn't chase perfection, they trained presence. So, take these lessons into your next conversation. Practice stillness, listen deeper, speak less, but with purpose. Let your calm become your power. If this message spoke to you, I want to hear your thoughts. Share your reflections below. Tell me which discipline you'll start practicing today. And if you found value in this, Gently, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Thank you for walking this path of growth with me. This is Stoic psychology, where words become wisdom, and wisdom becomes strength.